Welcome back to JBSports. I'm your host, John the Burden, and today is not Friday. It's actually Saturday because I did not have time to record yesterday, and I can't record with video today, so it's just going to be all audio. But some big things happened in the sports world, especially NFL, as we're just around the corner of free agency, but teams are still making cuts and trades. So we're going to talk about a few of those. We're going to talk about Xavier Worthy, what happened, and a little NBA, but we'll start off with NFL. There's some big trades that happened. Debo Samuel, that's been a little while, but he, I like it. I'm happy about it, but I think the Commanders still need a few pieces to be a Super Bowl team. But mostly, we need a player like Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson, which the two are the biggest D linemen in the market right now. I think Joey Bosa is probably third. So really, if you're a Commanders fan, you want the Commanders to get one of them, but you have three chances. Myles Garrett, who the Eagles and the Bills are interested in, so you probably will get outbid. So if I'm a Commander, like owner, GM, if I'm Adam Peters, I say, all right, listen. Last year, Trey Hendrickson technically did better than Myles Garrett. They're both really good players, but Myles Garrett is, I think, on the highest level of D lineman right now. But Trey Hendrickson is very good. So if I'm Adam Peters, I say, all right, Myles Garrett, it's going to cost a lot. But Trey Hendrickson, right now, only getting looked at by some of the smaller teams. So go to him, go to the Bengals, be like, listen, let's get this deal done before other teams make it harder for you. One on one, let's get this meeting done. Let's get a trade on the table. Help me, help you. So I think we should go after Trey Hendrickson. We can still be in the market for Myles Garrett, but all I'm saying is it's going to be really hard to get him over some of these. Like, it's going to get hard to be Myles Garrett over Trey Hendrickson. Another trade that happened, Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans from the Jaguars for a seventh round pick, which is kind of a steal. I'm going to be honest. Christian Kirk, 2 or 3 years ago, really, really, really good season. Had a lot of hope for their wide receiver room, but was heavily overpaid, reset the market, and really, really set him back because the next few years he was a mix between injuries and just not having the best seasons. So he stops it stops him from getting released, but he is now on the Texans, which seventh round picks, they're not too important. Usually you can get lucky and get a good person. I mean, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, so you have a chance at getting someone who can be a starting piece, but seventh round usually it's nothing too crazy. So not a bad trade, but honestly, Texans definitely won that. Another huge trade. Geno Smith goes to the Raiders from the Seattle Seahawks. I believe the trade was, I think, Geno for a third round pick, which honestly, good compensation. Third round picks, you can still get a few good people. I think Jazon Newton for the Commanders was a third, possibly, but near third. But honestly, third round pick for Geno, not bad. I don't really see any players from the Raiders going there because you saw some mock trades where it was Geno and DK straight up for his name, Max Crosby. Max Crosby. So not a terrible trade. I think this mostly happened because Geno has history with Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll likes him, so it's a good match for him. It's a good match for them, and the Raiders finally get a quarterback that they like and they really can work with because last year their quarterback room, Desmond Ritter, you had Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. None of those quarterbacks screamed off the board. Amazing, really good, winning quarterback. None of them do. Not even Minshew. Minshew was fun because he's got a fun nickname, Minshew Mania. But overall, nothing screamed. Geno's one of those quarterbacks where it's not like he's not a very elite quarterback, but he's a good quarterback, better than the other three. So it's definitely a good trade for them and a very big, just very big for them. It will help them win a lot. Some of the other big things: Zach Bond re-signing with the Eagles, a 3-year, $51 million contract, including 34 guaranteed, and a signing bonus of 1.5 million. So that's a really big re-signing for them. Another big re-signing to me would be Bobby Wagner back to the Commanders with a 9.5 million 1-year deal with 8 million guaranteed, which a lot of people are saying he's washed. I don't really get that because I like him a lot. He was still playing at a really good level, so people are just hating on him, especially Eagles fans because they love to hate on us, which it goes both ways, so I understand it, but it's a little annoying. Another big thing for the Commanders, they released two-time Pro Bowler defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, which will free up around 16 mil, which my whole thing with Jonathan Allen was I thought that he was going to be in a trade package for either Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson. I remember talking to my friend Jonah, the host of Ryan the Ship podcast, that I was thinking maybe like Jonathan Allen in a third for Trey Hendrickson could be a trade that could happen, but apparently it probably didn't work. So that's why Jonathan Allen was released for Mountie, but it should help, especially if we get one of those two with their contracts. Uh, you have T. Higgins getting franchise tagged again, so he didn't really like that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Trey Hendrickson being gone probably frees up some money in the future to sign him to a long-term deal, because if you looked at the three, you were like, all right, they're going to keep two, and one's got to go. Everybody thought it was T, because of course they're going to take Chase back. Of course, they're probably going to take Hendrickson because their defense is awful. And if you let Hendrickson go, it's even worse. But hey, it's up to them. They granted Hendrickson, uh, the permission to seek a trade. So overall, it's on them if their defense gets worse. But they don't got a lot of money to sign defensive players, so it's kind of weird that they let Hendrickson go. But at the end of the day, it's completely up to them, and it's their team, so we'll see what happens there. But speaking of the Bengals, a person they re-signed was Mike Gesicki, a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. I'm not surprised he got re-signed. Gesicki was really good for the Bengals, and he's a good tight end overall. He's probably one of the best in the league, but doesn't get as much shine as other people. So they also re-signed Tanner Hudson. Oh no, yeah, it's re-signed to a 1-year contract extension. So they're just keeping their tight ends there. And overall, nothing too crazy. I mean, Tutu Atwell signed another contract with the Rams. Joey Bosa was released. Some things here and there. Hollywood Brown signed another 1-year deal. So just some small things going on in the NFL. Free agency starts on the 12th, which I might live stream that the first 3 hours. I might not. We'll see what happens. But from trades, we'll go to Xavier Worthy. Uh, Xavier Worthy has fell into a little bit of trouble. He was arrested for assault. You don't know the full details, and you gotta innocent till proven guilty. So he's not going anywhere yet, but it's just another instance of a Chiefs wide receiver doing something they probably shouldn't, if he actually did it, of course. So we'll see what comes from it. I'll I'll keep an eye on it in next podcast. If it gets worse for him, we'll talk about it. But basically, his agent said it was baseless accusations and they're not true. So just keep an eye on it. Don't make any judgments until more information comes out, and we'll see. But Xavier Worthy did get arrested for assault, but nothing is fully true yet. But we will go to the NBA. We'll go to a game last night. Nikola Jokic had the first ever 30-20-20 triple double, which is insane. So full stats were 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists in a win against the Phoenix Suns 149 to 141. Because I believe Kevin Durant sent it to overtime. I remember seeing the three in the corner. So it's insane. Nikola Jokic is so good. I mean, he's just a beast, and the fact that he treats this like a 9 to 5 job is absolutely insane. He is a monster, and I'm a really big fan of his. I love seeing centers do good, but it's just insane. A stat here: it was also the seventh time this season that Jokic had at least 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists, that tied with Oscar Robinson for the most in a season in NBA history. So Jokic is just a different type of monster, and you have the probably the best two at getting triple doubles on the same team, Russell Westbrook and Nikola Jokic, and there's pretty much no doubt by the end of his career, Jokic will probably get past Westbrook for the most of all time. So I wouldn't be surprised about that, but yeah, it was absolutely insane last night. Such a cool thing to watch, such a cool thing to be a part of, and it just made history. Just like the other night when the Boston Celtics had Derek White and Peyton Pritchard get their first ever 40-40 scoring duo in their history. You've never seen two Celtics players score 40 in the same night. And of course, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard are the first ones to do it, which is funny because out of all people you thought would do it, it probably wouldn't be them. You'd think it would be like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but it ended up being them. So fun game for them. Celtics, it just shows how deep their bench is that they can have two bench players score 40. So the Celtics are stacked. That's one reason why they won the NBA championship, and a reason they might make the championship again. But if we go into standings, right now they're second, and the best team in the league standing wise is the Cavaliers by one game on top of the Thunder. And it's close because the Thunder, when healthy, are a nasty team. Uh, they've beat some of the best teams in the conference, and they beat some of the best teams in the NBA. But some of the standings, I'm going to go first 10 for each conference. Eastern Conference, Cavaliers number one, Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Pacers, Pistons, Heat, Hawks, Magic, and Bulls. The most, I think, fun team in that one is the Pistons, because just last year, if you remember, the Wizards, when they had Kyle Kuzma said, "You don't want to be the team that loses to the Pistons." I think was that last year? I believe so. Last year, the year before, basically, just straight disrespect to them. And if you look at the records now, the Wizards are the worst in the Eastern Conference. So it really did switch over. So the Pistons just slowly improving, and now they're the sixth in the Eastern Conference and in the playoffs. Cade Cunningham is an absolute joy to watch, and there's rumors that the bad boy Pistons era might be back the way the Pistons have been playing basketball. So love to see the Pistons doing better. Last time they were kind of in this situation is when Blake Griffin played for them, and unfortunately, Blake Griffin was hurt during that time. So let's hope that they can stay healthy and they can have a good run in the playoffs, because you always want to see teams healthy and playing in playoffs in a fun way, because it makes it better for watching and it makes it better for everyone. So that is the Eastern Conference. Cavaliers still dominating, and Celtics creeping up. Western Conference, of course, Thunder, Lakers, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Rockets, Warriors, Timberwolves, Clippers, Kings, and Mavericks. Most of the time, this is honestly normal standings. Unfortunately for the Spurs, they won't have Wemby for the rest of the year, so you're not really going to get any better. But some of the top 10 teams are fun. I mean, the Thunder are always fun, but the Lakers have been on fire. 8 wins in a row. is insane. Luka started kind of slow for the team, but boy has he lifted off since being in LA. He's been great. Him and LeBron are a pretty good duo. Both of them sometimes just like don't take the ball. I mean, they'll pass it back and forth, and someone will eventually take it and take the game into their hands. But crazy duo. I think they might the other than the Cavaliers, they have the longest winning streak in the NBA right now with 8. Cavaliers, of course, have 13 because they barely lose. Best record in the league. Big team that, of course, I root for, Rockets. They've been on a bit of a hard streak, I'll be honest. Recently, we've lost to the Pacers, the Thunder, the Kings, the Jazz, which is a hard one, Warriors. So we go on like spurts. We'll have a really cold week, and then we'll have a hot week. Last night we did beat the Pelicans. Sorry, Thursday, and then we play them tonight. But these are games you got to pick up, especially where we are because we were number 2 and number 3 not too long ago in the conference, and then we've dropped to 5, and we're only like 3 games above the Warriors, and we're 14 games behind. At one point, I remember us being like 2.5 games behind the Thunder, and now look at us. It's just because the team's inconsistent. We need some players to step up, and we probably need to get rid of some players. I mean, to be fair, to me, if we, kind of let Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet go, I wouldn't be too bad because you have good players that can take that position. Reed Shepherd recently has proved to be very, very good for us. He is a rookie who started really, really good in the what was it? Summer League. He was really good. And he looked like someone who could be the contender for Rookie of the Year, but they just didn't play him, which was really like weird because if you look at the game against the Thunder when we had some people out, he had 25 points, was 7 for 17 for shooting, and he was 3 for 7 on 3-pointers, which isn't the best, but 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Like he has the chance to be really good, but you just see the minute decline because that was 31 minutes, and then you take it to 15. He has 4 points, 2 for 6. Then against the Pelicans, take his minutes down more, 12 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 5. So he did have some good stats like 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Like those aren't bad for like a point guard, but honestly, you should probably get him minutes. I mean, especially over Fred VanVleet, because Fred VanVleet, what a guy, but he can be very, very inconsistent. I mean, averaging 14.4 points. He hasn't played since the Kings, which he had 35 minutes in the game and only 3 points. 35 minutes and 3 points. I mean, he had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, but 1 for 8, 1 for 7 on shooting for field goals, and then just 3 points. He hasn't played since then, which he's missed a lot of games from injury. So Reed Shepherd probably should be getting more points. I mean, more minutes than what he's getting. I don't know who's really taking the minutes away from him at this point, but honestly, Reed Shepherd should be on the floor probably with the starters because you got Jalen Green, you have Amon Thompson, Alfred Şengün, Corey Eason, and um, well, Dylan Brooks is probably starting, and then you have Jabari Smith who might be hurt again if I remember, but it's really nice to have Jabari back when he's been back. But overall, like, I don't know why anyone's really starting, but also Jabari Smith, really inconsistent player as well. The last 3 games hasn't been bad. 16 against the Pelicans, 12 against the Pacers, 11 against the Thunder. But then you have games like Kings, 5 points in 20 minutes. Spurs, 9 points in 32 minutes. 0 for 5 from threes. had 10 rebounds, but it really didn't help. Bucks 13, but then you go to the Jazz, 29 minutes, 3 points, 1 for 8 for field goal, and 1 from 5 from shooting. And then you go to the Timberwolves, 38 minutes, 15 points, 5 for 9 for shooting, and 4 for 6 on threes, 9 rebounds. So he has great games, good games, and then bad games. And then the worst part about it is not that it's like he's not having good games, because even some of those games where it's like 11 points but a lot of rebounds, it helps. It's just he's so inconsistent, which that's been the story of his career really on the Rockets. He's just a lot of our players are inconsistent. I mean, Jalen Green is one of the best examples of that, but that's more like shooting. Like Pelicans, 34 minutes, 3 for 10, 2 for 7 from threes. Pacers, 33 minutes, 12 points, 4 for 13 from shooting, and then 2 for 7 from 3 points. But then you go to games like against the Timberwolves, 39 minutes, 35 points, but 12 for 24, 5 for 11 threes. So he's not very efficient, which again, that has been his biggest part of his career, how bad he is from like shooting and field goal percentage. He's just never efficient. Like, let's look at this: 9 for 21 shooting against the Jazz, 9 for 20 shooting, 9 for 17 against the Spurs, 9 for 20 against the Kings. So it's just always like not efficient, which is a problem. Because yeah, listen, 35 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists looks like a good stat line. But when it's 12 for 24 on shooting, it doesn't look too good. So we just got to be more efficient, especially on the floor, because some of our best players just can never be efficient, or they can never be consistent. Like Şengün, I mean, he's pretty consistent, but Spurs 19 minutes, 9 points. He probably got taken out that game, but he usually scores about 20. Good game against the Kings, 37 minutes, 30 points, 10 for 16, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. And like against the Bucks, no, that kind of was bad. 35 minutes, 23 points, 8 for 16 shooting. Doesn't shoot a lot of threes, which I like. But one game he did attempt a lot was Jazz, 35 minutes, 27 points, 11 for 24, 1 for 3, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. So Sengun is pretty consistent point wise, but sometimes he just has some stinker games. So hopefully he can kind of clean that up. But overall, Rockets, we just need to play as a team, because one problem is a lot of the time we just go on droughts and we can't finish out games. That is the biggest thing. In fourth quarter, the Rockets, as a Rockets fan, all I see is leads getting evaporated. It's just always so bad. So hopefully they can kind of try to work on that and make it better throughout the year. And then especially next year, when we potentially get a new point guard for the bench and let Fred VanVleet go or trade him, and then, you know, kind of let Dylan Brooks go, because we have people who can fill his role so easily. So hopefully by the end of the year we kind of find our roster, because I would love for Reed Shepherd to start. I think he'll be great in the role. He is a great player, great young player, great attitude, and he's just a facilitator that can score. So hopefully they let him continue to play more minutes, and hopefully he can prove that he's the better option than Fred VanVleet, because I really do think he is. But other than that, not too much happened. To finish this episode, we talked about some of the NFL offseason stuff, some trades, some releases, and some signings. Free agency just around the corner on the 12th. Then we talked a little bit about Xavier Worthy, because we don't know the full details, so we can't go fully into it without, getting rude about it. And then the last thing we talked about was Nikola Jokic's insane game, and then the standings, and then how the Rockets have been inconsistent or just non efficient, and we can't play in the fourth quarter. But thank you guys very much for listening. Sorry I couldn't be on video, but it just could not work where I am right now. And I appreciate you for listening. Have a great day, and bye.